Cathar Love 99. Catharism closer to Buddhism and Daoism. Both Buddhism and Daoism are Eastern beliefs, religions. Catharism is a Western philosophy. Even so, in our beliefs, we're certainly much closer to Buddhism and Daoism than Christianity, Islam, or Judaism. Why so? Well, a major aspect of Catharism is the fact that we turn inwards to the light, inwards to connect with our guides, our source. We use silence, quietness, quietude, meditation, and these are certainly major components of both Buddhism and Daoism. That's not to say, of course, that Jews don't meditate, that Muslims don't meditate, and Christians don't meditate, of course, but it's not something they make a big deal of in the main. Another major component is reincarnation, and Buddhism and Daoism, that is a very, very basic tenet or part of their doctrine, as it is Catharism. And even though throughout the ages, or the last 2,000 years, 1,500 years as far as Islam is concerned, there have been those in those belief systems that believe in reincarnation, and in fact the early Christian fathers, most of them believed in reincarnation, and that was possibly part of Christianity until it was eliminated by Emperor Constantine, and it no longer became part of the orthodox belief systems of Christianity. There's been various components of both Islam and Judaism that have believed in reincarnation, but again, it's not something that's promoted in the main. So, with the Cathar philosophy, Cathar beliefs, reincarnation is certainly a major factor. The other component is, especially with Daoism, Lao Tzu, who came up with the idea that there was an unknown source and an unknown origin, an impersonal origin of all things, which he said had no name, so therefore he called it Tao, actually the path. And at the same time, over in the West, Socrates came up with the same conclusion. There were many Greek gods, but he realized it could only be one source, one origin of all things, and he called it the source. And Plato, of course, went on from him, and he also taught about the source, the origin of all things. So he's this component. Buddhism is that's not such a major factor with Buddhism. So with those major components, we can see that Catharism is certainly much closer to Buddhism and to Daoism. Another other factors is the vegetarian aspect of Buddhism, and the Cathar perfecti were basically vegetarians apart from eating fish. Both the Buddhist and the Taoist and as well as the Cathars were very much into nature and not into the destruction of nature and the sacredness of nature. A factor that was both Cathar and Daoism is that they both were very they taught about the feminine principle, and the Cathars had this equality of the sexes. Many of their clergy were women, as we know, the good men and the good women, the bonhomme, the bonne femme, perfecti. And the Taoists were the same. The Taoists, they were very strong on the feminine principle. For instance, in the I Ching, the second hexagram, number 2, is called kun, the receptive. And it talks about being receptive to one's guidance, to one's divinity, and that one should not do things on one's own, but try and derive advice and guidance from the other world, or from our guides, from the divine. And also part of that second hexagram, number 2, kun, is the fact that it talks about the feminine, the strength of the feminine, and it put it in this way. It said that the stallion is very fast and strong, but the female horse, the mare, was just as fast and could gallop over the plains and keep up with the stallion. But the mare had something else. The mare had both more caring and could also nurture and have children. So in this respect, the mare was elevated above the stallion. The feminine principle, in that respect, is above the male. So I think Daoism and Catharism are the only two belief systems that I'm aware of, two major belief systems that elevate the female or the feminine principle. Buddhism is still, as this female Buddhist monk said, an Australian, she said, is still testosterone driven. The female monks, Buddhist monks, are subservient to the male monks, so, and are still dominated by males. So in that respect, it's in tune with Christianity, Judaism and Islam. But things are changing. I believe there was a Buddhist female monk in Korea who kicked off her own Buddhist sect, and where females and males were equal, and males could join, but they were on an equal, or on par, or an equal level with the male. But I believe Buddha took a few years before, one reason or for whatever reason, that he incorporated or took notice of the females within that belief system. So the Taoist and the Cathars were the two major belief systems that I'm aware of, one East, one Western, and one Eastern, one Western, that were very, very strong on the feminine principle, on the female aspects of the human species, but also the female aspects of nature. Another thing with the Cathars and the Taoists was that nature, the environment, our planet, is not just our mother, but also our teacher. And both the Cathars were into churches, rituals, commandments, doctrines, all these various things. And the early Taoists were very much into living a simple, peaceful existence and coexistent with nature, keeping life simple and working in and learning from nature. So it's quite obvious that from those points of view that Catharism, although a Western belief system, is very, very much at home with Eastern beliefs. All over the world there are people really being quite serious, seeking to discover the soul element and their purpose in life. Now my job, I feel one of the purposes of my life, or a major purpose, is not to convert anyone to Catharism. What one believes in is their own business as far as I'm concerned. But I am certainly here as to make people aware of the fact that not just the Catharism of old, but also modern day Catharism for a different age, where it's risen above religion. It's cracked open that nut of religion and it's looking at the pure kernel inside, and it's because it's Gnostic and Cathar, it is open to all knowledge, and it is not caught up in any religious doctrines or commandments. It's a very humanitarian, we don't need any religion to tell us what is right and wrong. If you hurt somebody, we know it's wrong to hurt them. If someone hurts us, we know that's not too good either. We know most people who have a reasonable education, certainly Western education, know what is ethical. We know that male and female should be treated the same, and the laws of the land make it that way, even if religions don't. And in Western societies, the laws of the land are based on humanity, and they're not based on religion. They may have originally came from Judaic and Christian aspects or whatever it is, and others, of course, Islam has its Sharia law and all the rest of it. But today, a modern educated human being understands that there is simply pure humanitarian, the humanities. There's a way to live your life, and there's a way to lead a good life, and it's got nothing to do with one's belief system or lack of belief system. It's simply common sense and common human decency, good manners as well, kindness, caring. For women to be second class within the religions, so is there a belief that somehow their deity, their God, which has to be a personal God, elevates men more than women? Well, it might be religious belief, but it's certainly not a common sense belief, and it's not a belief amongst normal decent human beings. There's two babies, one's a boy, one's a girl, and they're the same certainly in the law of the land, and that's the way it should be. So, with people searching out their soul, their purpose in life, there are many paths, and I'm not saying Catharism is any better or worse. Catharism is a little bit unique because no one is born a Cathar. One gives away that particular belief system, but I would say more evolves above that belief system and realizes that the Cathar path, the Cathar system, is the one for them. So that is not to put down anybody else, because what people believe in is pretty much their own business. So my purpose, one of my purposes in life, is to draw people's attention to Catharism and the aspects of Catharism, some of the components of Catharism, and also how we are very, very much the Western philosophical belief system, yet so much of our beliefs are really more at home in the East than in the West. That's not to say it's either good or bad or indifferent. That's simply the way it is. We have these connections very much with Buddhism, reincarnation, pacifism, do not kill, respect life, with the Taoists, to respect the environment, to live with nature, to elevate the feminine, the feminine aspects of the world, and certainly of our human species. So Catharism it's not for everybody. And the other thing is that people who do decide one way or another, slowly or sometimes speedily, decide they desire or aspire to tread the Cathar path, rather than being converted to it, these people seem to be drawn to it. A book falls into their hands, and lo and behold, it's something to do with Cathars. Holy Blood, Holy Grail, they may have picked that up by Dan Brown, and suddenly there he is talking about the Cathars, and who's these Cathars, and suddenly, so there's a connection somehow. So many people have read Dr. Arthur Gurdon's books, the English psychiatrist. Certainly it was my first opening into Catharism, the Cathars and reincarnation, a foot in both worlds. And suddenly you feel this connection, and you feel there is an attraction towards this way of living out one's life. But it's interesting to know that though we're a Western philosophy, yet we have so much in common with those Eastern philosophies, religions if you may, of both Buddhism and Daoism. Bye for now. I'll talk to you again.